If you are like me, and I bet you are, you like to keep things clean, organized, under your control. But again, if you're like me, you like technology, you like to test things. A new library, a new technology comes out, you're gonna test it. Let's see how it runs on my computer. And that can be dangerous because you install something, then install something else, and then you tweak a configuration in your computer, and it snowballs, and you're no longer under control of what's happening and the impacts it's gonna have in your computer. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just create very easily a playground where you could do anything inside it, and if it works, if it can add value to your business or your project, you can keep it there, and if not, we just delete it and start all over again with no further consequences to our system. Wouldn't it be nice? Well, it is. It is totally possible, and I'm going to show you how. Okay, so let me demonstrate in an image. I like to keep things visual. You're using a laptop. You want to test something. You want to perform a potentially dangerous test activity, something new, and it's dangerous. It can be potentially harmful for your computer as you're dealing with directly with your system configurations, your files. So it's usually a problem. Don't do it. Like, just think twice before it, at least. You don't want to do that because if you do something wrong, if you mess it up, it can impact your computer in a way that it will be less than, I don't know, pleasurable to fix. So one of my preferred solutions to a situation like that is to use this very charismatic whale that we call Docker. And how does it serve me? Well, it can be our solution because we can essentially create another, like a machine. This is a container inside Docker. So it stays isolated from our main system. So I can do anything I want with it, and if it doesn't work, I'll just delete it, and that's okay. There'll be no trace of it. No permanent like change in my computer that's gonna make regret doing that in the future. That's basically it. So within my operational system, I'll connect not directly to this potentially harmful application. I'll connect to this other system, and then I'll be able to do things that I want. And it's also very replicable. I will use a very simple blueprint, create the system, do whatever I want with it, have my fun, and then I can either leave it there, running, adding value, or I could delete it. And if it works, I could simply give it to you. Because since the blueprint is already there, the Docker container will be the same that you create. So I can simply share that with you, and you can do it on your own and have the exact same setup for you to work with. So let's do it. Alright, so that's our checklist. We're going to start by installing Docker. It should be pretty straightforward. Just go to docker.com, and there will be instructions for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Not a huge list here. Then we're going to create this blueprint it's the docker-compose.yml file. So basically, I'm going to choose my directory that I created. So docker task temp, and I'm going to create this file called docker-compose. And I'll use my ID, so I think it's easier for us to visualize what's going on. Alright, so let me copy this. Inside my folder, I'll create this docker compose.yml file. Let's zoom in a little bit. And basically here, I'm going to describe the services I want to create within Docker, the containers. So the unique one I'm going to create right now is based on this image, Ubuntu latest from Docker Hub. Probably not optimal for most cases because There are a lot of more specific images that you could use for specific projects, but let's use this one for now. I'm going to call this container Ubuntu container. The volumes I'm going to create are called synced. And what's the volume? Basically, it's a folder that's both within and without my container, so they're both synced. So whenever I create something on my computer within this folder, will be automatically on my main computer, and that's great for making interacting uh, with folders in and outside the container. And I'm also changing the working directory, the default one, for synced, so I don't have to be switching the working directory all the time. And in this command section, I'm basically saying, hey, as soon as you start, run those two bash commands. That's basically it. And once this stops, the container shuts down. Okay, that's very important to notice. So the first one, I'll update the package manager. And the second one basically does nothing. Remember that as soon as it is done running those commanders, it's just now. This command does nothing, but it keeps it running. It keeps the container alive because I want it there, available for me to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And this last one, it basically enables the interactive terminal, so I can interact with the container. So that's a very simple file, and I'll link this code in the description, so you can just copy and paste. And that's one of the major like points of using Docker, is that everything created is reproducible. If you use this exact folder, this exact Docker Compose file within your computer and run it, assuming that the image is still the same, you're gonna have this exact same setup. So whatever I run here and it works here will be working on your computer as well. So I already created this. Let's come here to the terminal again. We can see that docker-compose.yml was there. And I'll use the command docker compose up. That is to make it run on the background. So it's pulling the image. It should take a few seconds. And it started. You can verify that with Docker PS. You can see that it's running. It has been running for 5 seconds. And yeah, what now? Because it's running, but what can I do with it? Well, since we have the name of this container, that is Ubuntu container, we can basically connect the terminal. So with docker exec -it Ubuntu container bash. When it's run, I'm in. I'm a root user within my my container. What about now? Well, I could start doing anything I want. For example, let's say I want to install Python. So apt get, since I'm root, I don't have to use sudo. Apt get apt install Python 3. Python 3. Yes. Waiting for it to install. What happened here? Docker, yes. Did it freeze? I don't know, this is just waiting. Alright, installing Python. I'm in America. Time zone. I don't find, let's say, billing. More. Billing. And sync. So if I want, I would just start using Python with Python 3 and print hello, or just create a variable x for x like square for x in range 10. Yeah, seems to be working. What else can you do with it? Well, we don't have to rely only on our on our terminal. If you use VS Code or any VS Code based IDE, you could use this extension that is called container dev containers, and basically allows you to verify which are the containers that are running inside your system and connect it to it directly from your IDE. All right, so it's here. And it's very helpful because you could, in my case, for example, interact with the agents uh, from Cursor. So I would just ask, hey, create Fibonacci .py script for me and send here. So we'll create this script inside my container. So it should also take a few seconds. And it's there. We could, let's trust it, and it seems like it's working. And once I get back to my terminal, let's exit Python, ls, I can already see Fibonacci.py. So I'll just execute it and see what happens. Python 3, Fibonacci.py. Let's calculate the first 20 numbers. And it's there. It worked. So in those few last minutes, we created this other environment inside the computer. We installed something, we created a script, we interacted with it directly from our IDE and from our terminal. So that's basically it. And with that, we can do so much. So I hope you use that knowledge carefully and for good purposes. And that's it. Thank you very much for your time. See ya.